All right, welcome back to Just Some BS podcast. Today I have Michael Brown slash Mike Brown slash Michael Brown. I just asked him and he said, I don't care. So on your LinkedIn, you build trust in your brand by telling your story with video, and you run or own Seymour Mac Productions. Welcome to the podcast, Mike.
Yes, correct. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And if that's what's on there, then I'll just believe you because I may have changed it recently. I don't know what's going on with it.
Nope, I looked at it like 30 minutes ago, so that is what's up.
Okay, good. It was something else up until very recently, I believe.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so Pharma to filmmaking is where I want to start. So the leap of faith transitioning from a 13-year career in big pharma to starting your own video production company is a significant shift. What was the pivotal moment or realization that led you to take this leap of faith?
That is a great question. Now, if I may, before we get started,
Yeah.
Did I send you a bunch of information? Because I know we booked this like a while ago. Or
yeah,
are you doing your own research?
Yes. So I pull from your LinkedIn and from the intake form that you did.
Okay. All right. I couldn't remember if I had sent you some stuff also. I was about to say, like, your research is fantastic. This is a great first question. No, to answer your question though. Yeah, I worked in big pharmaceutical for 13 years, about a vaccine manufacturing facility here in Northeast Pennsylvania. Kind of fell ass backwards into that job, working many jobs through my lifetime. Never really sticking to any of them, usually getting fired or quitting for some random freaking reason, you know?
Because your passion wasn't in it, man.
Yeah, it just wasn't aligned with my passion yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, fell into it. Found out I was actually pretty good at corporate pharmaceutical manufacturing type stuff, and which is really just comes down to like team leadership and middle management is kind of what it comes down to. I wasn't doing research and development or anything really crazy, but I did that for about 13 years. Now, oddly enough, when I did leave, my title was associate scientist, associate manager scientist, manager associate scientist. One of those three variations sounds super duper fancy, and I lean into it a little bit. My wife really hates it when I tell people I used to be a scientist. She was like, bro, that's not really what that
assistant to the regional scientist.
Yeah, exactly. But I was like in an engineering department, kind of a supportive role. So it was actually really cool. I worked on visual inspection machines. I worked on creating like test sets for humans to look at and see if they could find defective units or, identify what was a good unit. So I would build those sets up. We would train humans on them. And then we would take the data from the humans and we would train the machines on them. And then that's how you automate the process, and then basically fire all your humans, because what the hell do you need them for, right? So that's kind of like where it ended for me. But it happened during COVID. When COVID hit, my company that I worked for, I mean, that's their bread and butter, baby. They were like, the fangs were dripping. They were licking at their chops. They were like, yo, world-ending pandemics, this is right up our alley. I think we're going to be okay. So, like I was going to work every day. I was in manufacturing still. I wasn't in that engineering role yet. And then, COVID, man, shit was weird. Everybody got weird. Businesses got weird. Governments got weird. My mother-in-law got real weird. Like a lot of shit was getting weird at that time. And I really appreciate that you find me humorous, at least to a degree. I will use this.
Dude, that's hilarious.
In an argument with my wife tomorrow. Like, yo, I am actually kind of funny, I think.
I got validated.
Yeah. Let me tell you about what happened last night. I got so validated. Yeah, man, going to work every day, literally calling us heroes. Man, you guys are coming to work every day. When some people are being forced to stay home. Some people are just losing their jobs. Some people are too scared to fucking leave the bedroom. Like, lot of shit going on at that time. And, yeah, I mean, we were working double time, and we were happy to do so. But I've always been a little skeptical of corporate and governments, and basically ever since like the invasion of Iraq. So this is going back a while. And I don't know, pretty quickly, I started like asking some questions, and they didn't like the questions too much. They loved me for a very long time at that company because I was so real with them and honest. And, Mike, when Mike comes into the room, it doesn't matter if it's the director, the senior director, the head of the site, or, just his coworkers. Mike is always Mike. And that's what we appreciate with Mike. And Mike is also a hard worker. So we're going to give him opportunities. And I was climbing the ladder. I didn't get like super high in the scheme of things, but I was climbing the ladder. I was making decent money. And that same reason that gave me all those opportunities was the same thing that was eventually my demise, because they're like, all right, we can't, this wheel's getting squeaky. We got to oil this baby up or just replace the wheel. And they couldn't oil me up. So they had to replace the wheel. And I was one of like probably several hundred wheels that got replaced out of about 3,000 at that site. But that's how it ended. And so that was like 2020, it hits 2022. I lose my job. Man, a lot of turmoil in that time, depression, anxiety, abusing, drugs, seeing a therapist. I was falling asleep in my sessions. So seeing a poor therapist is probably worse in a lot of ways than not seeing one at all, because the opposite of validation is just like kind of your worst fears get validated in that kind of relationship. That's and so just kind of falling apart, man. Marriage falling apart, a lot of relationships, friendships falling apart, a lot of people who I built really great quality relationships while at that job falling apart because they maybe they agreed with me taking the stance, but they weren't going to speak up. They weren't going to risk it, and to each their own. But to me, that's kind of like it's a sign of where our friendship is. So lost a lot of relationships, depression. Did I mention I was depressed? Just falling into a dark hole. And the only thing that got me out of it was Christ. And now this was 38 years of being non-religious, mother's Jewish, father's Catholic, both hippies, never did anything growing up, just kind of left to your own devices. And 38 years later, I'll like make my way to some sort of religion. So it was very interesting. But that was the only thing that helped lift me up. And then there was a lot of other things that happened with, business coaching and just taking a leap of faith in myself. But that is I hate to say that's the short version, but that is the short version of leading into what I do today, which is video production and running my business, Seymour Mac Productions. That was a lot. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. I'm trying to figure out what I want to ask first. So let me go back to the management portion that you were in. Did you see yourself as a good manager?
I think sometimes. Yeah. Okay. I think pretty early on in that job, I was a temp for probably 4 or 5 years. They were on a hiring freeze. And I remember I interviewed. I was doing well, like right out of the gate. I interviewed for a job right before the hiring freeze, and I was doing music at the time, and I was spending a lot of weekends traveling with my friend's band, and then I would call out on Sundays or Monday, and I had a lot of absences, a lot of call outs. And I remember the interview went great, and then they flip a paper over and they go, just one final thing. So you had 15 call outs this year. Like, what's up with that? And I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but I said, well, if I was hired full time, those would all be paid days off. And they didn't like that at all. And don't ask me why I answered that way.
Mike.
I just look at Mike. Now, that was the beginning. That was the very early days. I learned a valuable lesson that day because I didn't get hired full time for like 4 or 5 years because of that stupid ass comment.
You know what I call those?
Yeah.
CLEs, the career limiting events.
Oh, yeah. And it limited my career for quite a while. Luckily, it wasn't like a nail in the coffin for me, but it took me a long time to dig out of that situation. And it was kind of mandated because they weren't going to hire anyway for 5 years, but sure. I was supposed to get hired, and I shit the bed at the last second. And so that was that. So that's where it all started, like where it dawned on me, like, hey, being a part of this thing is going to be different than being on the road with your boys. Like, this is a different thing. You're going to have to bite your tongue. You're going to have to learn how to operate amongst corporate America and also just around other people who aren't degenerates like you. So, so that's what I did. So was I a good manager? I think that started the the very long journey of figuring out what that meant. I had good managers, and I had some very poor managers, and I took a lot of value from both of those situations. And I would like to say that I became a good manager. Even as a temp, I was leading 20, 30 people, depending on what process I was in. And as a temp, leading other temps, some full-time employees, low-level full-time employees, but full-timers, there is a hierarchy there that did not jive well with them. And then also full-time leads, so like kind of supervisors, and kind of thrust into the position of being their peer and being a lead as a temp was a huge advantage for me, since I had acquired this new ability to like learn lessons and make a mistake but then learn from it. It gave me a lot of value because I was the lowest on the ladder. I was a temp, I was a throwaway, but I was a lead now, and I was the person that some full-timers even had to answer to in some situations. And it gave me a good ability to manage communication styles.
Sure.
Like how I talk to a fellow temp is not the same way I'm going to talk to this full-time employee, even if I think the temp is a higher level worker than the full-timer, because there is a hierarchy here. So I learned communication skills pretty early on. And then I think because I started at the bottom, as I moved my way up and became like leads or managers in these different areas and different teams, it was very evident that I earned that spot. I didn't come from another department, just dropped in, or another company and dropped in, even worse. I earned it. I worked shoulder to shoulder with these people, and they wanted me to be the lead as much as I wanted to be the lead.
So you were very helpful to them. Yeah, that's great.
I was helpful, and they were helpful to me because I think my ability to be a little humble and self-deprecating at times was a superpower in the relationship building with them, because they would just be real with me and I would be real with them, and that went far. That went really far.
Yeah, that's a great comment. I think humility and self deprecation are skills that I didn't realize not everybody realizes how powerful they are. Like just a room pretty quickly, by using both of those.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's people who are more talented in those areas than others, but do you think those two things are learned skills as well?
I think you can learn anything. I've talked to enough really effing smart people, and I've asked the whole, is leadership born or learned? And I truly believe it's learned now, because I do think, with enough practice and intuition and want to learn, that you can probably learn most skills. And I would say leadership's a skill. So
yeah.
But
there's some real bad leaders, and
but a lot of that's ignorance, right?
Ignorance. Yeah. Well, and I was going to follow it up with, and they've been leading for a long time. It's just like, I don't know. The ability to want to learn is the first thing, right? It's like, hey man, I know I'm running this shit, but I got plenty to learn too, and I'm open to that,
Yeah, being open to it, I think, is a big piece. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah. Just on the religion piece, what was it that got you over that hump? Like, was there a moment where you were like, eureka?
Yeah, it's kind of, I'll try to give you the abridged version again, because this will keep happening. You'll ask me a question, I'll just go. Because remember, my therapist was falling asleep, and you're very awake and aware of the conversation. So this is a huge level up for me. Okay. The deal with finding Christ was interesting because, again, my mother and father were both non-religious people. They were divorced when I was 8. My stepfather, who came in the picture, was also not a religious person. He was a dirtbag in a lot of ways, besides not being religious. And let me say too, being religious does not eliminate your ability to also be a dirtbag. So those two things can coexist. But none of my parental figures were pushing us to do anything. Right?
Understood.
It wasn't like a cornerstone of the family unit at all. But what happened was my older brother, Brian, who actually was my first guest on my podcast, right? And he dealt with hardcore drug addiction for 13 plus years, still deals with it. Cause once you're an addict, you're always dealing with that demon, but, hardcore. I mean, he's 1 year older than me, been my best friend my whole life. And then for 13 years, we barely spoke. If we did, it was very condescending. It was very detached. And, his journey included all religions. He read about every religion under the sun. He tried most of them, and he found his way back to Christianity. And it's through him, my brother, planting seeds, and my friend Jonathan, who has now passed away, this is about a year older than me, 2 years older than me, also planting seeds, and then him going through his own trials. Now this is like happening all through my 20s and 30s, basically. And both of those guys planting seeds. And then I have another friend of mine his name is Moses, actually. He's also planting seeds. So very biblical through the whole relationship there. But, it's a funny thing that a message could be there and it could be hitting on loop on a loudspeaker and you will never hear it until you're ready to hear it. And that's what happened to me. I was adjacent to religious openness, let's say, for a long time. And I was like running side by side to it, but I had built up a wall, a shield around me against religion, because I didn't believe in organized religion and so many bad things that happen in some of these religions. And so I had a long time, my whole life, of building up a shield against it. But then when I was brought to my knees with losing my job and depression and the marriage and keep going. And I tried seemingly everything else. The only thing I didn't try at that point was God. And my brother's sending me sermons and he's having me listen to the sermons on Spotify. And I'm like open to it. I'm talking to my friend John, and he's telling me about how when he was going through issues with his marriage, how that was the only thing that saved him. And I always wondered, how the hell is this guy holding on a year, 2 years, however long this thing's happening, and then pulled it together at the end and had a great family unit before he passed away. And it was all due to Christ for him. And I was finally open to it. And February of that year, the timelines, man, they've meshed together so much. But my older brother, Brian, is getting married, and I'm losing my job. I'm in the middle of losing my job. I'm in the middle of like being introduced to Christ, right? But I'm still like on the peripheral. And then my brother gets married and I'm his best man. And I say, I didn't write anything. I was supposed to, I just couldn't, anything I wrote, it just seemed not good enough, Yeah. And I used to rap. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to speak from the heart. I'm just going to freestyle it. And I gave, in my opinion, one of the best speeches of all time. And I'm talking State of the Unions, inaugurations of all time. Now, I gave a great speech, but so he had somebody film his wedding. And I'm doing a video on the side at this point. I'm doing it like a Weekend Warrior thing. And basically only weddings is what I'm doing at that point. And he had somebody film it, but he wants me to edit it. So blessing for me to get that opportunity. I'm sitting here in this room editing his wedding video. And the music, I picked the right piece of music. I'm listening to it on loop. I'm editing, tweaking for hours, listening to my speech, listening to my brother's speech, watching the family, the music. And I'm sitting in this room right here crying like a fucking baby. And I'm like, what the hell is going on, man? And then I'm listening to sermons while I'm washing the dishes and I'm weeping. And this is happening for like weeks now. It's like going on and on and on. And I finally called my brother and I said, I think I want to come to church with you. So I need to go down there to like get a voiceover from him for a project. And I was like, but I'm going to sleep over and then I'll go to church with you. All right. Yeah, sure. So I'm at church with him and, great service. But, like, I don't know. Do you go to church?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Have you been to like a Christian church before or like any church? All right. Yep. They play music in the beginning.
Yep.
They give the service. They play some music at the end. Right. Now, I barely ever set foot into a church at this point. And they start playing the music. And I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, this is the corniest shit I ever been to. And like by the fourth note in, my throat starts like getting a little choked up. And I'm like, oh, wait, hold up. I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, something's happening here. Now my brother's doing like AV stuff for the church. So he's up in like the booth and I'm sitting in a church of strangers. I don't know anybody there. Or not true. Some people recognize me from the wedding that just happened previously, but I basically a stranger. So service is great. Everything's great. They're praying over people at the end. And I decide I'm going to go up there. But I go up there and this lady gets up in front of me and she clearly is going through some stuff. She really needs the prayers. And I sitting there waiting. And then by then my brother says, let's get out of here. We're going to walk out. Right before we leave, another lady calls to my brother, says, Brian, let me ask you some questions. Pulls him to the side, gives me like 2 minutes to go look in and see if I can go up there. And the lady who was up there is walking up the aisle. And I said, it's now or never, man. And I feel it pulling on my heart. Go down there and talk to them. And I go down there, and the pastor's wife is one of them. This woman, Jen, sweetheart. She goes, how can we help you? And I couldn't get 2 words out, man. I just start crying, right? And I'm trying to tell them that I'm losing my marriage. I'm losing my job. I feel like a loser, a failure, like all of this stuff that I'm feeling at the time. And she's like, we got it from here, buddy. And they just start praying over me and praying for me. And she's saying stuff. And then he's like affirming it in my other ear and like whatever. And then what do you know happens, man? The top of my head gets a little warm and I feel like this surge of warmth run through my body. Now it's at that moment where I remember the YouTube videos where you see people like rolling around the floor in the church, like having a Holy Ghost moment. And I used to think like how stupid that was. Like these people are clearly overacting. And then like my knees start buckling a little bit, like my legs actually get weak. And I'm just like, please don't. Like, just don't go down. Like, don't become the meme. Don't be that guy. There's somebody filming this. I know somebody's watching. And so I keep it together long enough to just like let it happen. And that was the moment that Christ had finally entered my heart. I allowed him to enter my heart. And this is coming from somebody who's never a religious person. So it's been interesting, man. Like, that's how it happened for me. And it's been an interesting journey since then. It's been very difficult since then. A lot of challenges, a lot of tests of faith, a lot of just tests, man. It's a weird
that's
thing.
Life, right?
Yeah. I think like Christians and probably most religious people say like when you give yourself to God or you open up yourself to like a higher power, some people think like this now is the answer and everything is going to be thrown into my lap and everything's going to be an easy ride here. But the way it's explained by spiritual people or religious people will say like, there's a good versus evil thing happening here. And now you're a warrior for God. You're a warrior for light. What do you think the bad guy's doing? He's not just going to let you go. He knows your weaknesses. He knows you like smoking weed in the garage. He knows you like drinking some beers. He knows you like doing whatever the hell you like doing behind closed doors, and your faith gets tempted pretty regularly. I can never say that word. But I wonder if it's, my heart tells me that that's what's happening is like a battle of good versus evil in all of us. But there is an awareness aspect there, right? It's like you buy a red car and all of a sudden everybody's driving a red car. It's like you're more aware of the thing now. So are you noticing it more? And then now you're attributing this piece to those things you're noticing more. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's good for you. That's an incredible story. Or shouldn't say story. It's an incredible experience.
It's as the kids say now, it's my truth.
That's brilliant.
And when I mean kids, I mean like 35-year-old white ladies. No, it is just what I experienced, right? And now I'm 41 years old. I go to church sometimes. I don't go as much as I probably should. I don't read scripture. Like I couldn't quote you any scriptures right now other than like the basics. Like I don't know. Like I don't Bible study. But I talk to God every day. I pray. I realize that there's things in my power and there's things that are not in my power. I think where a lot of people fall is trying to control those things that are just out of your power anyway. And they absorb so much of your energy that it creates a freaking like a domino effect of negative shit that happens to you. So like, yeah, just I'm able to just kind of place things in the right columns, I think now, most of the time.
Are you a reader at all? Like,
yes, now
books?
I am.
Yeah, same. Like I just started reading like in November, not last year, but the year before. And that's kind of what kicked off book club for us at work. Because I was like, holy shit, this is changing my life. Maybe other people would want to be a part of this. And we read Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and they talk about the circle of influence in there. And like, if you can't control it, let it go. Like exact same concept, because you know, just look at Facebook if you want to look about how people get wrapped around the axle about things you can't do anything about. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. What started the reading kick for you?
Good question. I wanted to be better with people, like conversation. I don't think I was very good, or I didn't really know. I'm not good in social situations. It's why I do this podcast, so I don't have to go to mixers and social events because I hate them. So this is my way of being out there.
Yeah.
Without having to be out there. Because I'm in my room and I'm comfortable and I don't have any anxiety with that. So, and I get to talk to really smart people and like read a book for an hour once a week or twice a week, depending on how many podcasts I do.
Yeah.
So
next week you'll pick up on the smart people again. You're just having a lull.
That's not true,
this
dude.
week.
This has been a banger so far, man. We're only partway in. No, I just, yeah. I mean, I don't pigeonhole. I didn't niche down as you should with podcasts, right? And you should stay in a group. Like I just want to talk to people with passions. Yeah. Because I find it fascinating. And when you talk to people about their passion, they light up and then it's all real. I just want to have real conversations.
Yeah.
So reading books started with Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, because I wanted to learn what good looked like in that arena. And it's the empathetic. I take a lot, like if I have a meeting with someone I've never met, there's research that goes into that. I want to make sure I'm coming into the conversation with something. It's not just about me. I now feel bad when I talk too much in a conversation. So like just being very aware of that kind of stuff, I wanted to get really good at, because I want to make people feel good when they have a conversation with me.
Yeah. So and now you're just a reader. How many years before you became a reader?
I mean, November of 23 was that when I started reading Dale Carnegie. And that was because of a LinkedIn post. Someone just said, hey, this book's really easy to read. And it was written in 1934 and it still applies today. And that intrigued me. And I was like, okay. So I started reading it and I was like, so it blew my mind. I convinced 6 people at work to join me in a work book club. And then it went really well. So we did 6 people again and it went really well. And then we did 26 people. I opened it up to the entire company and now we're at 36 people. So,
damn, bro. I'm sitting here with a real life Oprah.
We're trying, man. It's awesome. I have to say that it is the cheapest.
Can you get a book?
Everybody under their chair.
Look under your chair. You got to do it at the next one. Yeah. Like, Jim, look under your chair, Jim. And it's just like a mousetrap.
Listen, we buy the books and we pay for their time every Monday and Friday. So no, it's really awesome. That's
awesome, man. I love that.
Yeah, it's been a really good time.
How old are you?
40.
Okay, so we're about the same age. We picked up reading at about the same time in life. Very interesting, man. There's something about growing up, like being born and raised in the 80s and the 90s. We weren't readers.
No,
we were out there lighting fires in the woods and building clubhouses and shit,
100%.
My kid's 11. Right. He refuses to ride his bike. He doesn't even want to know how. I'm like, what? This was a Lamborghini to me. I had a mongoose, like a pieced together mongoose. Wasn't it? The frame was, it might have just even been a mongoose sticker. The frame might not actually been mongoose. It was like dino rims. Like it was a Frankenstein. And that shit got robbed. So it's just like I only had that for a little while.
Yeah. I had to ride my bike everywhere because we lived in the middle of nowhere. So it took me like a 15-minute bike ride to even get to like one friend's house. So I was one of those kids. I lived up like on the mountain in the woods.
Yeah. So when I grew up, I lived in Staten Island. So we were just packed on each other. Packed. So having a bike, I mean, you could ride to the next neighborhood over and it's a whole different universe over there. Different characters, different people, different stories and lives and stuff. It's freaking interesting, man. We had it good. I do feel like we were like the last outdoor generation. Like as far as kids just go out there, just letting us be free and ride our bikes and play in the woods. And now, you know, like I'm terrified if my kid's in the driveway, like somebody's going to come rape them or something like that. It's just like, it's such an unrealistic, it's so unrealistic, man. But it's just like, is it? And then you just start thinking like, who lives here? Then my wife's looking at like Megan's list and she's like telling me where all the strange people live. And I'm just like, it's such a different freaking world we live in.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
sidetrack this conversation.
No, you're good. I don't know how much of that is the information we now have versus didn't, or the world has changed that much. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, so that's a good point. Same thing as I just said before, right? It's like the awareness of the information now. Is that the problem? It's not that it's happening more or it wasn't happening at all before. It's just now information is just snap of your finger. You got it right on your phone, right?
Well, and look at how much information is fighting for viewership, right? And when you get into that sphere, like gross stuff sells, right? Unfortunately, that's who we are as human beings. So if that's the math equation, even your local news has to get gross to get the viewership and things like that. So I think it's this constant evolution that we're like almost consuming ourselves with bad, because bad sells and ads sell, and it's all about money.
Yeah. But I am the future looks bright. I'm a firm believer in that we're cyclical creatures, right? Like, you know, Jankos are coming back. I saw somebody wearing Jankos. And if that's possible,
dude, you can put an entire rollerblade in the back of a Janko G.
Damn right you can, and you did.
I was never allowed to buy Jankos. My mom did not. I was an Eddie Bauer sweater vest kind of guy. Like, that's who you're talking to right now.
You're different. You're different, bro.
I won best dressed in high school, so back the fuck up.
Really? Oh, yeah. Shit. I didn't graduate high school. We are two different people, man. But that's I feel like that's what's great about this.
Yeah.
You know? That's what's great about this.
I totally agree. That's so awesome, I don't. Man. That's so fun for Jankos, man. I hope they don't come. That's a lot of gene coming back. That's a lot of gene.
Well, I mean, it's good news, right? I mean, manufacturing is bringing back textiles to the country. I don't know where they make Jankos. Probably fucking China. Who knows? But
if 25% more.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You get 25% less Janko, but pay 25% more in the price.
They only give you one pocket.
Yeah. They just give you one leg and you just jump in the one leg. It's a skirt. Yeah. You're basically wearing a full length jean dress. This is what you're
God. Oh my God. That's so funny.
And you know what's funny? I don't know who, like the age ranges of who might watch this, but anybody like any younger than us, they're like, what the fuck are Jankos?
Yeah. Well, they're going to look them up and the first Google image is going to tell the story because it's ridiculous, right?
Just the biggest pant leg you've ever seen in your life.
So what's really
worn by people with the smallest asses historically in the world, the whites.
Oh my gosh. So funny. Video. So have you always been doing video? Has it always been a passion for you? How do you go from, I'm assuming you had video skills prior, because right after you were losing your job, you were side hustling video already. So
yeah,
how did you get into video?
Yeah. So I used to do music back in high school. I was a rapper. And so it was like, started out writing poems. Then I linked up with some other kids who rapped. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I like rap. I grew up on rap. And so I started rapping and writing. And then that led into, you know, performing a little bit. And then that led into like mixing the music and being more the studio guy, the technical guy. And then by the time it came to like, hey, we should do like a music video, because that's when music videos were still like a necessary thing you had to do.
Yeah.
We didn't have any money. We were if we were making any money, which we weren't, it was enough to buy like a 20 bag of weed, you know, a couple cigars, like a box of Phillies, and, you know, a couple, like either like a case of Lion's Head or a couple 40s, like oldie.
A case
40s.
of Lion's Head's like $8 back then.
It was, yeah, it was.
It's 11 today.
It's 11 inflation. You got to adjust. And do you remember under the caps they would have those little puzzles? That's why we got them. They were cheap.
You can actually take the case back and get $2 off a new case, still at the brewery in Wilkes-Barre.
Really?
Yep.
Oh man, maybe it's a good thing we didn't know that. Also, had no means to get there probably. But yeah, it was kind of a necessary thing for me to just go, yeah, I'll figure out the video thing, and just bought like a cheap ass camera, like a camcorder style camera, and started shooting some videos, and they sucked, and they were absolute garbage. And then you know, I would do them every once in a while, but we had some buddies who were like pretty hardcore into like horror film, like B-side horror film type shit, like real super duper low negative budget stuff. Like they'd have to pay you to like just sit down and watch it, you know, like real negative budget stuff. And they kind of inspired me to see video as like more of like a craft, right? Because I was doing it as just like a necessity. Like, all right, I'll just get some visuals, and like my main drive was the music. So it's just like something I could put the music to, perfect. But then those guys kind of like were planting those seeds of, oh, this is actual craft, and this could be creative. And now I mean, we're talking right out of high school, 18. I got kicked out of high school. So 17, 18, 19, all through like my 20s, I made music for like 13 or 15 years or something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Dude, it's delusional. I mean,
it was legit though.
It was a good run, I guess, you know. Lots of great memories. Let's if anything. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from just rapping and performing. I was a super shy kid growing up. I know I'm not answering your question yet, but I'll get there.
No, you're good.
Super shy kid growing up. So linking up with these kids who were like rapping and doing freestyle battles and like back when freestyle battles were actual freestyles, like you would see the person for the first time and now have to try to make fun of them off the dome, which was very hard to do. And
so can I ask you a question quick?
Yeah.
So knowing what you just said, I'm assuming you sit in conversations with other people, and well, obviously you're quite funny because you're being very funny in this situation, but you are probably very quick when it comes to funny things and ripping things off the top of your head faster than everybody else in the room.
Yeah, most of the time.
You notice it.
And they notice it.
And but so do you. Like, do you live in that context where like you could probably also be a comedian because your brain works so fast?
I have, yes. Yeah, to answer your question, yes. And I have toyed with the idea of exploring comedy, like stand-up comedy. I don't know if I'm just being a bitch about it or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like the funniest amongst my friends. I'm like funny in conversation.
The funniest one in your house.
Yeah. Like me, my wife, and my 11-year-old. I am definitely the funniest. But actually, my 11-year-old, he gives me a good run for my money, dude, because he is me, just at 11.
No mustache.
Yeah, he a little one. He got a little one on the corners, man. He's growing in. So yeah. So I don't know, man. And again, you know, you get imposter syndrome. Dude, I'm 41 years old. What am I going to start comedy now? Like I just started running a business. I just hung up the microphone like fucking 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't know. But I am quick-witted because of rapping and because specifically of freestyling.
Yeah.
Because you would show up to a house party and be like, yo, my brother Ray, he raps and he thinks you a bitch. And I'm like, all right, put the beat on. And my boy Moses was like on the mountain, hands down the best freestyle rapper.
Sick.
And, you know, white kid, like, so back then that was like special still, or you were just Eminem, like whatever. That was like the only two things it could be. And then like being around him, I was like, man, I got to get better. Yeah. And so he influenced me a lot of ways to just like get better and quicker with the raps. So yeah, in normal conversation, when we're talking at like human speed, somebody says something, I'm already like the clip is being filled up with bullets. And then I have to just tell myself, just put it in the drawer, bro. We don't need to fire all the shots, you know, like we're just having a conversation.
It's so interesting because like one of my guilty pleasures is watching like people like No Life Shack, for instance, on YouTube. Like I love watching him break down rap because like I can't I don't know, like I love watching people break down raps in the sense of what they actually mean. Like I could watch someone break down Eminem's raps all the time because it's fascinating to me, the words and the usage of words that he puts together. It's absolutely brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like, you don't even realize the things he's putting together. Even like, no, like, was it Dickie when he did on Sway, when he did that rap just like off the top of his head and it hit like what 40 million views or something?
Yeah.
Like the word usage and choice was all so intentional. It was just that blows my mind.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Just rewatched that recently, which is kind of funny.
I watch it like once a year, dude. It's
on first Monday of every month, I make sure I get my little Dickie freestyles logged in. I am addicted right now to Harry Mack. I don't know if you watch any of his shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Did I literally? I would have been here 5 minutes sooner, but I had to finish. I had to finish this freaking dude's video.
Yeah,
it's just
incredible.
It's incredible. And the thing with Eminem too was like he was the first one who got really clever with syllables and like elongating syllables and making words rhyme that have no business being next to each other in a rhyme. And just makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
Really, really interesting, man. I freaking love it. I grew up on rap. My first tape was a cassette tape, ladies and gentlemen. Cassette
Welcome
tape.
To the show.
welcome to the show, people. Was Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style. I remember that day. I was about my son's age. I was like 11 or 12 years old. Why the fuck did my mom let me buy Snoop Dogg Doggy Style? All right, just the cover art alone would have got that. No way, sir. But I remember the day I went to the mall. Another thing the young kids don't really know too much about. I went to the mall, go hit on some chicks, rocking my Jankos, and then I went and bought Snoop Dogg Doggy Style and Offspring's first album.
Did you buy it from FYE?
I bought it from was it called The Wall back then? Maybe, I don't know. It might have been called The Wall, or it was like a FYE style thing.
Yeah.
But it was before FYE.
Yeah, like I love like barology and I love all that, but like I don't listen to music. Like it drives my wife crazy because I listen to music maybe like a handful of times a year because it doesn't make sense to me. Like I don't get moved by music.
Yeah.
So like it's more of a beat thing for me, except when I'm watching someone break down what someone said and why they said it. That's fascinating to me because I think watching someone process like that quickly, it's why I also watch the Golden Globes, the intro by oh my gosh, he doesn't do it anymore because he finally got kicked off.
The monologue.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I watch that once a year as well because I think it's so fascinating that he says exactly what everybody's thinking to the audience that everyone's thinking about, right?
Yeah.
And he just doesn't care. Like I love, and that's kind of how, I don't know.
That's the gift of comedy and music in a lot of ways. The ability to say what we're all thinking and we know to be funny, at least most cases. And the ability to still say it. You know, coming out of, and I feel like we are coming out of like the cancel culture period. I just don't think it's as possible as it was just even a few years ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, you know. It's so relieving to hear people just saying shit again just to be funny and it being received as funny. And then for the people who don't think it's funny, it's like, we need to learn the ability to change the channel. Like, oh, I don't need to listen to, I don't find Little Dicky's music pleasurable to my ear. I don't have to listen to it. If somebody says something you don't like, you don't have to listen to it.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually heard a song of his. I only found him because that clip was so incredible to me.
Yeah.
And it's only because of like people who can think that fast like that. I think that there is a huge level of IQ there that I'm not sure everybody can comprehend.
It is a difficult task. I think rap gets a lot more respect than it used to back in my day. Well, you're one of them little hip hop rappers. That's what they would say, right? And it was just so looked down upon, like you were just a loser. But the ability to think that fast and make sense and also rhyme.
Yes.
Okay, like, thinking fast is difficult enough. Okay, making sense and thinking fast, almost impossible for 99% of the fucking planet. And then now everything is rhyming.
Correct.
That is a skill and a talent. And I freaking love it. And I rap every day. You know,
Do
like
you?
I'm doing the
That's
dishes
amazing.
and I'm rapping, but I don't make music anymore. But I sing songs and I freestyle and I could freestyle a country song right here, right now about anything. And it's so incredibly easy and it's great, you know? And it's funny because I do it with my kid in the car or like around the house. And now my kid is like, he does it.
Mm.
So it's like, you're going to be way better than I was.
When you were at the height, did you notice your brain was even faster? Like, is
The
it like a
height.
muscle? Like when you were doing it so consistently and it was like even competitive, like when you were battling, like, did you notice that your thought process was that much faster?
Yes, 100%. Now I do want to clarify at my height is still very,
You just had the first M in Eminem.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. A very lowercase M. Yeah, no, it was. I just don't like the way that it was framed. Just because if anybody from my life sees that, they're gonna be like, at his height, what did he send this guy? Like he sent him pictures
No.
of Grammys and shit. Like
No, but
yeah.
everybody has their level, right? And
Yes, yes,
I don't
yes.
mean comparing to anyone else. I mean your level at your peak, because we all have that. And we were all there or are there or will be there someday. Like whatever that is, that's totally cool. At your Everest, your personal Everest, I feel like your brain was probably at the best it's ever been in that during that time frame because you were working it like so
Yes.
consistently.
Yeah, 100%. It's a muscle, right? It's like
Yeah.
working out, man. You stop working out for a year, that first workout back is gonna be a little rough, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like anything else. And then what's also interesting is like, remember when you're growing up and like your uncle or like an older guy or whatever would like put hands on you and it like you felt old man strength. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this dude could just literally just end my whole world right now. And I think I'm a tough 15-year-old and this dude just like puts me in a fucking sleeper hold and that's it. I'm done. I got like that old man strength now with my freestyle. So it's like I just been doing it for so long, like not with nobody watching, non-competitive, like at this point, just in the kitchen freestyling. It's just like it's just so natural to me now. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah,
It's a pretty banger or party trick as well.
it is. But then you feel like the monkey with the cymbals and shit. It's like, oh, you rap? I don't even like bringing it up because it's like, oh, you rap, and I'm like, yeah, but like not right now. I'm like, I don't rap right now. And like, cause I don't really drink anymore. It's like, I'm never getting buzzed where I'm like, yo, put the beat on. I'm like telling my wife, Christy, drop the beat. And she's like, shut up, dude. She met me when I was a rapper, so she knows. That comes with the
Honey,
story.
put the Zimas down. We're not going back there.
She sees the hat, starts turning around. She's like, no. She pulls it back to the front.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So, okay, well, geez, pharmaceuticals to rapping to making videos when you were younger, rap videos, like how do all of those parallels like come and then like boost your current like making videos to really boost companies and tell their story? I love that you say tell their story because I do think that's what video is about. I'm assuming marketing perspective, but also just like an overall story. Like how did those worlds collide into today? Or the skills, like what do you use on a daily basis to really like hone in and help companies out?
Yeah. The trick with this thing is listening and just trying to figure out what the hell they got going on. I think the biggest mistake that videographers, video producers make is they make it about like too early in the conversation of finding out what somebody has going on. They make it about well, I can make you X, Y, and Z video. It's like, bro, you haven't learned anything yet. How do you know what kind of video to make? So, and I really like, there's a lot of types of video making, right? You got film, you got cinematography, which is an art. You have advertising, you have storytelling, you have like these different things, a lot of overlap, but I do feel like there's different kind of columns. And I certainly lean more towards the storytelling end of it because I don't know. I suck at being a business owner because I hate sales and not enough people know me or know about me for me to not to have to do sales. Right. I think, and maybe that'll never go away in some form, but I'm talking about like sales, like cold calling, like the way I reached out to you, like sending you a message.
Don't do it that way. So, dude, I'm going to give you a quick. I had Joe Dalton on my podcast just last week. He is like a guru sales guy. I'm talking to him again on Thursday. I'm going to send him your way, and you can have him. I'll see. I don't know if he'd go on your podcast or whatever. I'm not going to say yes or no for him, but completely flip the script for me on what sales needs to be and how. Because I'm in the same boat you are. I'm not a salesperson. It's why I do this. It's why I do things on LinkedIn and things like that. And it's like, he's just like, it doesn't have to be that way. And it was like, so I'll get him in touch with you. Yeah, it'll help.
I love that. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. The thing that I do love though is talking to people and learning about people and understanding what they got going on. So that's how I approach sales now. That has replaced kind of my sales routine of I got to make 100 phone calls today. I got to email 1,000 people. Like, will that work? Will that get you business? Yeah, sales in a lot of ways is a numbers game. The more you do it, I mean, look, you swing the bat, eventually you're going to hit the ball, right? I mean, and that's what like the sales gurus will tell you is like every no is closer to a yes. And it is true, but it's also like, I don't know, it's kind of like one of those stupid sales guru things that you see on Instagram. And it is kind of true, but they kind of like if
you stack up 1,000 no's, that equals one yes.
Yeah. It's like, what are you, broke? You know what you got to do, right? You got to wake up at 4 a.m., bro. You got to fly in a jet. You got to, it's like, all right, no, I'm broke. I can't fly in a jet yet. So sales is a numbers game in a lot of ways, but I like learning about people, which transitions perfectly into what I like doing most with video, which is telling stories. So it's like, oh, cool. Let me just talk to you and have a good time getting to know you and doing mostly listening instead of selling or talking, or even just talking about myself. And eventually, most of the time they go, hey, what about you? Like, what do you do? And I'm like, I tell stories. That's what I do. Like the thing that I've been running with that a friend kind of planted in my head recently was he knew I was doing like a outdoor home show local to me, a couple hundred vendors. I work almost, I don't want to say exclusively, 90, 89, 90% with construction companies.
Mm-hmm.
All the way, everything from like a plumber, electrician, landscaper, all the way up to a construction management company. And I was doing this home show. So he was like, hey, I just heard this thing. And he was like, I think you should try it. He's like, when somebody comes up to you at a show, and they say, what do you do? What do you tell them? And I start going down my typical friggin', well, I make videos for companies and this and blah, 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 blah. He's like, yeah, no, I get it. And that'll get me there. But he's like, what do you really do though? And I'm stewing on it. And then I texted him later that night. And I said, hey, you know how nobody will do business with you unless they trust you first? And he goes, yeah, so? And I'm thinking he's like playing along with me because like he put this in my head to like figure this out. Caught him completely off guard. He was genuinely like, yeah, so like what's next? And I go, yeah, that's what I do. I help people tell stories and build trust in who they are. And he goes, I just got hit with like 5 fire emojis in the text. And he was like, damn, dude, it worked on me. He was like, I didn't even realize that's what you were doing. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I think that's what I should be saying. Something along those lines of not try to explain the mechanism at which this happens on. Well, I take a video camera and I frame you up and I hit the button. No.
Solve the problem.
Exactly. It's like, hey, like in construction, this goes for everybody, but especially in construction and service, it's like, if people don't trust you, if you don't have trust, you don't have shit. That's something that I've been saying for a long time to prospects, and they all agree. Yep, don't have anything without trust. So it's like I just kind of lean into that. So what I really love doing is helping people tell their story, which in turn helps people get to know who they are, which in turn helps people resonate with them on a deeper level, hopefully, which hopefully in turn subsequently leads them to converting into a customer or a client or a user of their product or a follower of their brand. And it's all by not selling them the trinkets. It's about just selling who you are without like selling it, just being who you are and letting people see that. I don't know if I answered your question. That's going to keep happening, man. By the time I get to the end, I feel like Ace Ventura, dude.
No, that's really good. No, I think that's exactly it. How do you feel your personal branding is? If you hate sales, why don't you lean into that side? I see your videos and stuff online.
Yeah. I think I'm probably not, dude. I'm the painter whose fucking house isn't painted. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, dude, I'm the electrician, got no light bulbs in the thing. The smoke detector's beeping. It's like, it's ridiculous. I feel like I'm getting better at it, and I'm better at doing it for other people than doing it for myself. And I think that's pretty typical for most situations. So what I try to do is lean into just who I am, right? So now I'm doing a podcast.
What's your podcast called?
It's called Welcome Back Podcast. My tagline, for whatever reason, is Welcome Back. It's Seymour Mack. I don't know why, but
That's
works.
Brilliant. I love that.
It rhymes. Yep. And when I thought I've been wanting to do another podcast again for a very long time. I used to do one many years ago about crypto and cryptocurrencies and conspiracy theories, evidently. And we were really, really knowledgeable on the conspiracy theory end of it. The crypto stuff, not so much. Had no business in that field at all. But it was fun, man. We would always just kind of like divulge into like some rabbit hole, and it was great. It was me and my boy. And I've been wanting to like get back into doing something, but I also want to make it count, right? I don't want to just do it to like be noise. So I want to have much like the way that you have yours set up, where it's just, I'll talk to anybody. And I want to talk to people who I have no association with, maybe come from different walks of life than me, culturally, politically, just professionally, what they're doing, and just hear their story. And that's kind of what I do on my podcast. Very much to like how our conversation is going. It's just, who are you? Like, what do you got going on? And you're going to say something, and then I'll ask another question. And then before you know it, hour, 2 hours, and then we end it. And then we're friends, it's like, but I want people to see who I am, like how I act genuinely in conversation, and hoping by putting that out, people who are my ideal clients will resonate with me on a little bit of a deeper level. And then when there is an opportunity of maybe, either a pitch or a proposal or just further, like a professional conversation, it's just a much more natural thing,
Yeah, one thing I found that really was helpful, I started taking LinkedIn serious in the beginning of 24. So it's been a little over a year. And the thing that I found that is most helpful is just giving away free shit all the time. So whether that be advice, value, anything that's in my wheelhouse. So yours would be, and lots of things that people probably don't know about video that are really easy to solve. Give all that shit away for free, because then they'll equate you as the video person, and then they'll also equate seeing your podcast and go, oh, I have a video question, I'm going to ask this person, right? And then it's going to be really looking more into what you're doing, and it's like, oh, I would really love to tell my story, and it just starts that kind of evolution.
Funny enough, this is exactly what I tell everybody that I talk to, and then again, it's like, just put it into practice. So I'm trying to get better at it, and I do struggle though with that imposter syndrome of, man, who the hell am I to be telling people about video? There's so many people so much further, more knowledgeable, that I listen to and I get value from. But then I have to remember, well, not everybody's at the same stage in the game, right?
They also weren't rappers, dude. You have a lot of uniqueness that like I never even knew about, that makes you absolutely fascinating, that you don't even give yourself credit for.
I mean, there might be something there. If in all the knowledge sharing, I'm also rapping while I'm doing it, that might be the thing that puts it over the edge. Dude.
That's a fucking twist right there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, you want to know about frame rates? Well, here we go.
Drop that beat.
Yo, Christine, drop that beat.
No, and it doesn't even have to be, no, that's actually a brilliant idea. But outside of that, like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't, but remember, like everybody may be giving the information away, but they just don't resonate, right? Like a lot of people are going to resonate with you, but there's going to be an audience that are feeling, what you're putting out.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's the other
for
thing.
Everyone.
Yeah. Excuse me. That's the other part that I struggle with is, and I'm pretty aware that it's just my algorithm. Excuse me. I don't know why I decided to drink a Dr. Pepper during this. I'm like fucking throwing up. I never really drink soda, and I decided to drink a Dr. Pepper during the podcast. A lot of carbonation. So I feel like, man, it's such a saturated market. There's so many people giving video tips, but it's just like, yeah, it's because I'm always looking at video stuff. Mm-hmm. That's why it seems like everybody and their mom is a video guru.
I have two, I think, that I see consistently weekly.
And I probably follow them. I probably follow both of those guys.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. The algorithm certainly doesn't help your imposter syndrome there. But yeah, man, I think you just kind of, you find your voice and you find your people, and people will come if they like it, and some people won't, and that's fine. But it is, I think it's really helpful. Consistency is a huge piece there. At least I have found. I am no expert at any of this. I just know that what's been working.
Well, what's funny enough is when we connected, you said something to me on the phone, because we had a brief conversation where you were just like, "Hey, man, I see what you're doing. Like, I just want to shoot the shit with you. I'm not going to hire you, but I want to talk to you about something." I'm like, "All right, I like the honesty, so let's roll with it. And if I could share any knowledge, then sure, whatever, man." I was entering our initial conversation knowing that there's no motive here, like for anybody. It's just like, yeah, we're just chatting, and maybe you'll say something, I'll take a nugget away, maybe I'll say something, and then whatever. And then it led into the conversation about doing the podcast. But you said something to me about my content, where you said, when I saw your message come through again, I knew exactly who you were, because I do see your content on LinkedIn.
Correct.
And this is something that I've been sharing specifically this story with people recently, because creating content, especially for your business, you're doing it with the intent to probably get eyeballs on your business and make more revenue, like increase revenue, whatever it is, right? You want to try to bolster your business up. And we all want that to happen now, right? I want my business to double now, because I want to help more people. I want to make more money. I want to tell more stories, whatever. But content doesn't really work now. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes it does, but not for guys that look like me. So it is a thing where it is not evident it's working until it is evident that it's working. And it took me posting on LinkedIn consistently for about a year before you and I got connected, and you said that thing to me. And I was just like, man, when I hung up the phone, I called my wife right away. And I'm like, yo, you'll never guess that people are watching my content. Like, it looks like, I'm like, nah, he doesn't engage. I would never know, because he never engages with the content. Like, I didn't know, but that's kind of the point. The point is, people are seeing your content, and there may be a point at some point where you have an opportunity to connect, or they connect with you, and then you'll never know that your content was having an effect until it is just apparent that it is. So somebody says, "Hell yeah, I saw your video. Oh, that's why I called. I have another question about this thing that I saw in your last video you did." And then you're like, "Oh shit, this is actually working."
Yes.
And I don't get any views on my stuff. You know what I'm saying? If I get a couple thousand, that's like viral for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
same.
But if you get 100 people watching your video, and it's 100 ideal viewers, right? Whether it's like
That's
ideal clients. Yeah. Maybe you're looking to hire, and you're looking to hire a specific type of quality person. If you got 100 of those people watching you, that's huge.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was listening. I've been doing YouTube for like 6 or 7 years now. And finally, I think I finally found a process that I'm happy with, right? And it took me 6 or 7 years to get to this point. And I read something from like a whatever guru or whatever, and I thought it was very timely. It was like, if there's 30 people who watched your video, like, sad, but that's a classroom full of people. And if there's 100 people, that's like a small auditorium, right? And then if there's 1,000 people, that's like a bigger auditorium, right? And the bigger and bigger you get. So when you put it in context of like a whole classroom of people, if you're standing in front of them giving a speech, is kind of a big deal for someone who's just starting out, right? So you have to really give yourself that levity to be like, okay, it's going to be up and down, but no, I think the connection. How many people say you're the BS guy? Whatever, you do a bunch of shit about BS, right? And then you guys make metal stuff. Like, that's all the connection I need. That's all I want.
That's
right?
it.
It's this stuff connects to this stuff and it all goes together. Because then they think, oh, you need something metal? Go find that BS guy. He's all over LinkedIn.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. So, and I mean, that's the power in personal branding, right? I think this is where companies are starting to get it now. And, you know, there's something else that I noticed. I was given a talk last year for a room full of entrepreneurs. And in my talk, I was going over how large companies are desperate to be seen as individuals and like very personable. And, you know, like they're trying to make that connection.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're a new entrepreneur, a new business owner, you're a one-man band, you're constantly, and I admitted it on stage when I was giving the speech. I'm like, and I do this all the time, and I will do it in this speech that I'm giving, and I'll do it right now on the podcast. I say we a lot. Like we at Seymour Mac Production, who the fuck is we, man? I'm the only one in the room. You know, I got a couple guys that work with me. I got Christy on the turntables. I got a couple guys that, you know, work for me like contract. But I mean, it really is just me. But like, so small businesses are trying to be seen as bigger than they actually are, and big businesses are trying to connect on a much smaller level.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting thing. So you see these big companies leaning more into personal branding, and you see, and I think just naturally as a small business owner, that's kind of all you have is like a personal brand. So it's like a lot of times that's where you start, you know, when you're starting, you know, making content or putting stuff out there as a business owner, you start with what you know and what you do all the time, which is whatever your business happens to be.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
You know?
I'm surprised more executives don't lean into it. It's been extremely helpful so far in just the year and a half I've been doing it.
Yeah. And so when I was working for the vaccine manufacturer, multinational company, they're based out of France, $5 billion a year profit margin, whatever, huge, right? I was like in the belly of the beast as far as like multinational conglomerates go. I got a vibe check on what that feels like, and it sucks, right? And the thing that they're constantly trying to do is figure out, why does it suck? Why does it suck so much here? Like, we give good health care and we tell people to work out and we have a gym and we have this and that, which are all great things, which a lot of companies are not doing. So I will give them credit for doing those kinds of things, but they're constantly trying to figure out, why does the culture here suck? And I was on a committee one time when I was working there. It was like a culture. I forget what the exact term was. Some stupid acronym that I was going to really insult this lady. She was a nice lady. I was going to insult her for absolutely no reason, just because she's not here to defend herself. But she's a very nice lady, and she came up with the name of this committee, and it was some cultural inclusion committee research fucking function. I don't know. And basically, we had to figure out why people thought the culture there sucked, even though they got paid pretty good. And what it always came down to was, you know, these guys at the top, you know, even the people running the site, they are so disconnected from what the hell we're actually doing here on the shop floor, that when they are dictating their edicts, you know, at the beginning of the year and the mid-year and, you know, all these meetings, it falls on deaf ears because nobody feels like they understand. Like, leadership doesn't understand what we're going through down here. So it's like they're talking about do more with less. You know, we had to fire a bunch of people and we're not backfilling those positions. They'll figure it out type of deal, which is just like a function of a corporation, right?
Yep.
It's like we got to make money and we got to make more for the stakeholders and whatever. That was their decision as a company, but that has a huge negative impact usually on the morale and the culture of the company on a worker level. And they can never really figure it out, you know, even though we always told them what it was. It was like, you know, these people want to see you on the floor, you know. And there was one site leader that I had. His name was Frank, French guy, clearly. But he was cool, man. Like, he got it. He was running a freaking huge company, at least this site of this huge company, making God knows how much money this guy is making. And at the meetings, he's just like speaking like a normal person. You know, he's like, if he would get aggravated, he would curse. If he wanted to be funny, he'd curse. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just like,
he's real.
He was just being who he was, which blurred the lines a little bit between like corporate, what's acceptable in corporate, and resonating with the regular people who actually work at this place. And he was like the only one who got it, and people loved him. And they didn't really know him, but they felt like, man, this guy gets it, man. This guy knows. He waves to me on the street, like,
he's trying.
And then, yeah, he was trying. He was making an attempt, and then they moved him to. It was the funniest thing, dude. He's and maybe there's a lot of shit that I'm unaware of at that level, number stuff, but he clearly was doing a good job. The company was making a buttload of money. People loved him, and then they moved him to like Canada or maybe back to France or some shit. Made him move his whole family. His whole family was like born and raised in Pennsylvania, and uprooted him and sent him back to France. And it was just like everybody was just like, why would you take him from us? Like, he was the only leadership that we had that we actually thought was like, got it. Like, he actually knew what we were going through.
Maybe there was another site that was worse off than you guys.
Maybe. And God bless him for getting him. And hopefully he helped him,
Yeah.
I know the guy who followed him, this guy, Rakesh. He was a nice guy. I had many interactions with him and in my roles, and a really great guy, but he didn't get it. And guess what? He didn't want to get it. He didn't give a shit. He was there to run a site and make money. And that's what he was doing. And then when it came down to fire a bunch of people over COVID policies and shit, bro, that dude didn't lose any sleep. He fucking wagged the wand, and that was it. Poof, be gone. Get him out of here. It's like, yo, we got DOD money. Get Mike the hell out of here. He ain't worth $100 million. So, and I'm not. So I'll admit it. I wasn't worth it. So I don't know, man. All to say, the bigger your company grows, the easier it is to disconnect with why your company started in the first place. What you want the essence of your company to be. Like, your branding is the gut feeling that people have when they hear your company's name, when they see the logo, when they run into the owner, when they see you on LinkedIn. That's what branding is. It's not the color of your hat or the font in your logo. That's part of it. That's surface level. Real branding is what people think about it when they hear it. Yeah. And when the company gets big, and especially you have a board and you have stakeholders and you got financial duties, gets real easy, I imagine, because I've never run a huge company, but I imagine it gets real easy to lose connection with, kind of where you started.
Depends what the values are. I think that's why you have just causes and vision and mission statements, right? So that's kind of your North Star. So people can check leadership to say, it's a little outside the North Star. Let's get back in alignment.
Yeah, and it's like, and you gave us this vision, and you're not aligned with the vision.
Yeah, I mean, that's real bad. I'm going through that process right now, actually. We're doing a just cause because I'm reading the Simon Sinek book, and because I'm not sold on missions and visions and things like that, and I don't know what good looks like in that arena. So I'm going through that process, and I created a Google form and I sent it to some people in the company, and I asked them to send it to another person in their groups that think that they also emit the values of the company. And it's just a bunch of questions on like, why do you come to work? What do you do this for? Like, because I'm going to gather all that, put it into chat, give chat some direction, and then like try to come up with a whole company feel, right? A real dirty feel of what we're doing this for. Because it can't just be management.
Did you start this company?
No, it was my father-in-law in 1984.
Yeah. Okay. And then you've been working in the company for a long time, or?
I came over in 2018. He was going through some health issues at that point in time, and not real succession plan lined out. So I came over because I was in construction, power plant construction for 10 years. And then I came over here to help out, and here we are.
And you came over as like a leadership level role?
Yeah,
would you say?
Like I was working kind of directly for him at that time. At that point, he was going through Alzheimer's dementia, so he was losing his mind pretty quickly at that point. So I had about a year and a half with him until we finally got him to retire for a year until he passed in 2020.
Damn. Yeah, and it's just like, dude, where'd you put the codes, man? Where'd you put the codes? Just write it down now, man. We don't know what tomorrow brings, dude.
Yeah.
So how is that being like dropped in at a higher level at this company, and now you're running? I'm assuming you're running the company, right? So like, from what I see, a very, very outside perspective, and only through LinkedIn and what you're posting and what the company page is posting, it looks like you really care about the guys and the girls that you have working there. And it looks like you care about building a quality culture there. That's what I see. And I don't know anything about the company. I know you fabricate some really cool metal shit, and you're a nice guy. Those are the only two things that I know.
It's working.
Yeah, it is working, man. If that's worth anything, that's what it seems like to me. And if that's what your goal is, like the current mission right now is to kind of define that and build that out and create something that's actually going to last forever, beyond your years there. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah. Culture is a huge thing for me. One, because I have a benefit of not building the company from nothing, which means that I don't know how to do anything that we actually do. So I barely can hang a picture on a wall, which you would think is idiotic, but at the same time, that means I can focus on the things that I'm really good at. And I don't get I stay in my swim lane, right? We start getting technical. I'm just there as support. I may ask a dumb question just from an outsider looking in, and then I stay in my lane, but it gives me the pathway where ops is over here. I have a lot of project management experience from my construction world, but I can lean into that. But when we get to shop talk, no, I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I have no fucking clue what they're talking about. But then that allows me to lean into how do we get people to collaborate? We start a fucking book club, right? Because it seems crazy, but let's do it anyway. We have really good retention. I knew coming into this, the trades, we're going to struggle for people. It's probably one of the hard, as in the construction sector. So keeping people is very important to me, because once you get them in, you're probably never going to get them back if they leave. Not losing people from the bucket, bringing more people in. Even the kids coming out of school right now are just so excellent. It's a career for them instead of a last resort. You can feel it from the way that the attitude they're coming in from the schools. So that's changed probably in the last 2 to 3 years.
I'm very happy you just said that, because that validates something that I just noticed it as well. I work with the local Votech school. I've been posting about it recently. And we did a series of graduate success stories. So we take an alumni from a trade that they're having low enrollment in, machine engineering, or what was some of the other ones we did? There was one of the computer programming classes, horticulture. There was another one that we did, masonry. A little bit low enrollment in some of them. And I went to this Votech when I was back in high school. So we're talking 99, 2000, about the year 2000. And I was a fucking shit student, man. I was going to Votech to escape school, to escape classwork.
Yeah.
And so were all the other knuckleheads in electrical that year. And we were just terrors, man. It was just all the different schools, all the knuckleheads landed in electrical. And we were just terrorizing the fucking instructors. And it was really bad. But I have that to go, hey, this is what it was like back when I was going. And then when I was there more recently filming these projects, I said something to the director of the school. And I said, I used to go here many years ago. And I'm like, and I don't remember any of my classmates being as excited to be here as these kids are. Yeah. I'm like, it is a weird thing. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm just getting a weird view on it because I'm very limited time here. I'm like, but every single shop that I've gone in, whether it's the person that I'm actually filming as the subject of the story, or the kids who just happen to be in that trade that day, they're all very bought into what they're learning. So in masonry, they were sketching out plans to build this retention wall and whatever. And it's just and they were really, really into it. I would have been trying to figure out how to sneak out to go smoke a joint behind the shed. And these kids were very, very excited to be there. And so you saying that actually verifies what I was feeling and what I was seeing there, is that this generation that's coming out of school now and that's about to come out of school these next few years, I think are going to be very valuable for the blue collar industries.
Yeah, they're lights out.
Yeah, the hands dirty shit, because we had maybe a few generations or one that, and they didn't really want to work too much, and through before COVID hit, man, construction was always a hard thing to retain quality workers. Once COVID hit, decimated, people wanting to actually do physical work for the most part. or being able to do it like, you mean I can't do it over Zoom? It's like, Johnny, we're framing a house.
Like, yeah, I don't actually live in that camp. I hear what you're saying, and I get the concept of that. I think there's a lot of people who just don't want to work for shitty people.
Okay, expand on that.
I just mean I think there's a lot of companies in our arena in construction that are still stuck way back when you can just scream at people and yell at people, and like that has to evolve. And like I had probably all of the new people who signed up for book club, I bet you were all new employees. Mm-hmm. Because they're looking like it's not good enough just to pay them anymore. Right. So it's this next evolution of, we provide free mental health for everyone in the company, plus 7 family members. Like that's the kind of things they're asking about in interviews. It's what else, what's your benefits, what's your 401k, what's your match, how quickly, what's the vacation. Like you better have it all checked off because they know what good looks like and they have options. Mm-hmm. Right. You know what I mean? So I'm sure there's people, right, that are still stuck in the Zoom world and whatever. I really don't have to touch people to know that they're working. I also don't live in that headspace either. But it's the level of the kids coming in and they're saying like, this is my career. I know how valuable I'm going to be. And I know how quickly I will climb that ladder because I know the generation that's retiring, they're all the leaders right now. Mm-hmm. And so they're very aware of the situation and they're walking in with they're also minimalists. So no debt. They understand that whole world. They understand the stock market. And it's just, it's amazing to watch, at least from what I've experienced so far.
Yeah. That's interesting. I wonder if the going through COVID did help shine a light on the shitty nature of a lot of situations. And then through that, maybe there's a camp, that kind of I was describing where it's just like, man, I was working from home. Now I got to go into the office. Yeah. Like, I'm not trying to do that. I'd rather be home. Like maybe a legitimate fear there, maybe an unlegitimate fear there, maybe just a laziness. Maybe it's just like, well, I got to adapt it to this thing now. So what, you want me to adapt to going back to the office? But also maybe it's, part that, but part what you're explaining too, where it's just like, yeah, no, these kids know what they got. They know what the options are. They know what shitty companies look like, and they don't want to work for those freaking people because they do have options. Now, through COVID and maybe before that, like I'm not putting it all on COVID, but as people age out of the workforce, or people move on to other opportunities, or through COVID, something happens where kind of like a lot of industries got decimated for a long enough period of time where now it's like a rebuilding process to like get back to where they were. The fact remains that, people, I think deep down people want to do good things. They want to do good work. Agree. They want to work hard. They want to earn what they have. They're just not going to do it for nothing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I live in the abundance mentality. I live in the, people do want, just like you said, want to do good work. They don't want to get hurt. Like, I'm going to live with that forever. Sometimes it won't always be right. There are people out there that play the game and everything, but yeah, I think there's way more good than not. And if you lean into that, it usually comes back to you. I've seen the ripple effect of throwing that stone in the pond. It works.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt that as well. I mean, there's times where I'll do work for free or pro bono, or I'll do, I'll do like some giveaway stuff, local network stuff. And I'll come and do that thing. And it's always this stupid free little thing that I did that leads to an opportunity. It's like, oh, hey, I saw that thing you did for so-and-so. Like, I need somebody, and you seem like you're the guy. Like, great. You want to pay for this? Yep. Awesome. Love that. Like, yeah,
I like great. That even more.
That's pretty sweet deal. I get paid for this too. Yeah. So, man. And it's like, that's all I want to do is bring value to whoever I connect with. I talk people out of working with me so much. It's so stupid. I hear myself doing it and I can't stop myself because if I just feel like what I have is not going to help you, I'm going to tell you. Like, this is not what you need. You need something else. Like, you're putting the cart before the horse type deal here. It might be what you need just not right now. And this is
that's
just my
brilliant,
opinion,
dude. That's integrity.
Yeah, I don't want the quick check, because the quick check is just one. It's just one quick check, and then that's it. That person that I send away to go like figure out, what tools to put in their tool bag first, they'll come back. They'll come back when the time is right. And when they do, I'll be able to provide value, and they'll actually get the value from it. See, this is the thing with this mindset is, and especially maybe for all things, but like a creative service like I provide. What I see a lot of is people just selling things to people that don't need what they're selling, at least not right now. And they're making money, they're getting paid. But the thing that you're selling them isn't actually providing them anything of value, because even if it's the right video, it's not the right time. Or if it's the right time, it's not the right video, because you're so busy trying to sell them on this big thing that you have in your head that's not really going to be helpful to them, because you never bothered to listen to what their actual problem was. And in the short run, it feels good because you're collecting checks. But then you do one project for that person and they never, ever use you again, because on their end, it looks like you sold them a bad bag. Yeah. I couldn't think of the fucking thing, but a bad bill of goods. What did I say? A bad bag. Bad bag of crack cocaine. It was all bad.
No, you're right. You're absolutely correct on that.
And that goes for anybody, but with creative stuff, it's so easy to do that because, all right, for your company, right? Somebody hires you, they want you to fabricate them a tank that's going to hold, I don't know, fucking applesauce, whatever it is, name it, right? It's very important to them. It's going to help them scale their business. That's a very tangible item. You go, hey, it's going to cost 10 grand to make this thing. And they
give me the drawings and we'll tell you exactly what it will cost. Yes,
exactly. Yeah. So you give them a price and they go, great. Sounds about right. I need this thing. I can't build it myself. So therefore you'll build it. I'll pay you. Right. That's like, not to say what you do is easy to sell, but I'm just saying
it's quantitative.
It's a tangible trade. What I do is a little more subjective, and it takes a little imagination and a lot of trust to go, oh, this video thing, I kind of feel like I need some videos, but I don't know what kind of videos I need. And this guy's telling me I need some recruitment videos or whatever. It's like, I just got to trust them. And they don't know me. So why the hell should they trust me? And even if they do trust me, it's still it's not as tangible, I feel like. Yeah. So I have to lean a lot into what I've been able to do for previous clients, and just also my boyish good looks and charm hopefully wins them over. But man, it's been a rough year, man. I've been shaving. I've been trying to keep up appearances, but it's been a slow start for this year.
Do you subcontract to like other marketing companies? Do you ever do any of that work?
What regard?
Like if they need video work and maybe they don't have an in-house, or they're too busy with their in-house videographers. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I play well with others. I'll put their shirt on, I'll put their hat on, I'll hand their business cards out.
Cool.
I love it. Yeah, I network with a lot of other videographers and photographers and marketing managers and shit like that. And it's a great network to have, because a lot of these marketing companies, they don't do video. They don't do the creative part of it. Yeah. They do the ad campaigns. They do the posting, the scheduling, the strategy stuff. They're good at that, but maybe they don't do this stuff in-house, and then they hire somebody like me to do it. And then we just try to capture whatever the vision was, that they laid out. But when I do that, I'm working typically under their capacity. So it's like, I'm not there with my gear on and handing my stuff out. Right. If anybody asks, hey, you got a business card? It's like, you got to talk to Bob. He's the cool guy.
It's just a paycheck at that point in time to fill the gaps.
Yeah. They're asking me to fill in. I can't be there. Can you be there? Great. I trust that you'll capture what we need. Awesome. But I'm not there to take their client. Right. And that could turn into some shit, man.
Yeah. No doubt.
Hustling with some people.
So we've almost gone an hour and a half. We're supposed to go an hour, so I don't want to take up all of your time, but where can everybody find, so Seymour Mac Productions? I mean, one, if people don't know exactly what you're bringing to the table, like I think you covered that brilliantly. And this last part on integrity, I think is absolutely massive in the creative space. And I do think people take advantage of people. And I think it's very well said that if it's not the right fit, you'll let them know, even if they don't know. I think there's a lot in that. So I thank you for doing that, because not everybody does. Where can we find you? Where can people go to say, hey, you know what, this guy's hilarious, he also raps, he's very good at video, where can I find this person?
Yeah, if you want to fund my my stand-up career that's about to start, it's about to happen any day now. Now you could find, so if you go to SeymourMac.com, it's spelled SEYMOUR.
Thank you.
MacMac.com. That's my website. That's basically going to tell everybody what they need to know. And then you could link to whatever social that you like using right from there at the top of the webpage. I believe all my social media is there, but LinkedIn,
Michael Brown,
Instagram, Michael Brown on LinkedIn. See, if you just Google Seymour Mac, you're going to find all of my stuff. And then if you go to like page 2, you'll find a lot of articles about my grandfather, who is actually Seymour Mac, is where I got the name from.
Brilliant.
And then you'll be like, who the hell is this? Who is this chiropractor from Brooklyn? Like, what's this dude about? That's where it all started. All right. So that's actually cool. The actual backstory is
okay.
All it's all due to him, man. He was a great influence in my life. So Dr. Seymour Mac Goldstein, he's passed away now, but he influenced me enough to where I said, you know what, since I'm going to be starting something, let me name it after him, let his legacy live on, but also serve as a reminder to me to remember why it is that I'm doing this. Because again, you start getting a little success, you start getting some big contracts, some people start paying you. It gets real easy or tempting to start leaning more into that and forgetting what it is I'm supposed to be doing for them. So it's like, without a doubt, somebody's going to go, your name's Seymour, right? Or they'll go, who the hell's Seymour Mac? Or what's that about? And then I get to tell them about my grandfather. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, man, that's a blessing.
And welcome back podcast as well. How often do you post for that?
Yeah, so I've been posting episodes every Sunday. This week there will be no episode because I'm on your show, and I actually film on Mondays.
Okay.
So I try to schedule on Mondays and Wednesdays, an hour or two with a guest. And it's very much like your show here. So if people enjoy your show, they would enjoy mine. Just trying to talk to people, hear their stories, figure out what the hell they got going on. The last episode I did, I had Patrick Black on, who is a social media manager and content creator for Baker's Construction Services down in Tennessee. And they did some great recovery work after Hurricane Helene hit down there and just decimated some of those towns. And they blew up through posting updates and showing what they were doing. And they were basically the on-the-ground news for that area. And, I mean, he just took it to another level for them. And what an awesome conversation that was. So, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we get into.
That's sick.
Yeah. So the Welcome Back podcast, and that's on YouTube, basically.
Okay. Awesome, dude. Well, thank you. Man, I learned a lot.
Yeah, you got 8 more questions. You never asked me.
I know. I didn't. Well, it was so interesting about the podcasting is I've been really, if I like something, I've been pulling on the thread. And because I used to get so worried about my structure, and it actually hindered the podcast. So once we started going down threads, and I was thinking of things like when we started about the rap, and then I got really interested in that. Like I'm starting to go with it naturally now. And people told me, like, don't be so structured. So I'm trying to really work on that, because it's hard for me not to go back to my questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So you glance at it and I'm like, oh shit, I wanted to ask him about this thing. But yeah, you know what? You weave back into it, like Trump does. He weaves. I saw him giving an interview where he was talking about somebody was like, yeah, they were saying you're all over the place. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're losing your mind. He's like, I weave in and out. So he starts telling a story and then he branches off 7 times. And then he brings it back to immigration somehow. And you're like, what the hell? We were just talking about SeaWorld, and now we're talking about immigration. So you do the weaving very well. It was seamless. And you're very easy to talk to, man. Like, you got a great energy about you. I don't know. You got 5 million subscribers yet to this thing? Because you should.
No. I definitely don't, but thank you for that. I think that's, it's not easy making people feel comfortable and just talking. It's, I'm learning that more and more as we go. And the people who can do it really well, like I love watching really good people who are good at it and trying to learn from them. And part of that was pulling on threads and not pulling on threads and all that kind of stuff. So, but you learn as you do more. So
that's excellent, man.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for telling your story and being open and honest, because some people hold back some things. So I appreciate that you didn't, because I thought it really was enlightening. And I know there's people out there who are going to be thinking along the same lines of whether it be a struggle or a breakthrough. I think that's really powerful, some of the stuff you covered today. So thank you for that.
Thank you, man. Thanks for the opportunity to say it. Appreciate that.
And we'll catch everybody on the next one.